Hello, I'm Christina, and I'm here with Martina. Martina, do you want to say hi?
Absolutely. Hello. I am so excited to be here with you and excited to share our next guest with you.
So, we are your podcast hosts for everyday, ordinary, extraordinary women. And we were inspired to create this podcast after pondering this question: what would a world look like where we can be inspired by every person? Our immediate way of being is to compare and judge. And when we do that, there's always someone losing. Depending on my point of view, I can either feel small or arrogant and dismissive. Those are really the only two options from that perspective. So here was our thought: someone's everyday normal is someone else's extraordinary. Judgment comes from our first impressions. So we invite you, the listener, to go beyond your first impressions and see the magic everywhere. There's inspiration in every corner, in everyone, if you're only willing to look. Today, we are so really excited to have with us Paige Ozma Ashmore, who is a wordsmith, an artist, and a healer. She's the creator of a tarot deck called the Tarot of the Kingdoms.
Let me just quickly show it.
Martina's going to show it for you. Yep.
I have it right here. There you go. See the beautiful pictures?
All the beautiful artwork created by Paige. She's also illustrated an award-winning children's book. And she has also, which was a gold medal award winner. And she's also developed her own system of healing that channels energy of the planets. And she's also currently working on her next oracle deck. So Paige, we are so excited to have you with us. So welcome, and go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, well, thank you for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here. I guess what I would like to share is what I encourage with other people is a sense of wonder, a sense of constantly being amazed at all of the things that are out there in the universe, little things even. I remember I was in a parking lot of a Walmart once with my kids, and there was some sap coming out of a tree, and it was bubbling up, and it looked like this drop of gold that was on the side of the trunk. And I was amazed by that. And I said, look at this thing right here. Like, if this stays like this for millions of years, it's going to become amber down the road. And it's amazing. And you can see the play of light in it. And I'm an artist, so I'm always looking at stuff like that anyway. But just to kind of see the world creatively in that sense, I think can open a lot of the other doors in your life, for possibilities and stuff like that. But I love doing stuff like that. Just seeing the eyes through kind of my inner child, I would say.
And it's beautiful. Paige, I have a few paintings of yours at my house, right? And I just love the whimsical. I love the magic that is in there. And what you're sharing, what comes up for me is like that sense of awe and that sense of wonder. It just changes our view of life, really, right? Mm-hmm. It's a place to focus when mm-hmm. we're not feeling that great, right? When we're walking somewhere and there's that plant that is growing in the crack between the, between the concrete, and it's like, mm-hmm. Okay, isn't that beautiful? So thank you. I'm so excited that you're here with us. And can I ask you to please finish this question? If you really knew me, you would know. And it might be the wonder, it might be something else. What would we know?
That I feel things really deeply, probably more deeply than I let on. I'm a really deep feeler of the world around me, but that kind of goes hand in hand with my being a really deep listener. I love to listen to other people. I'm fascinated by it. Their experiences, excuse me, what they have to share about life. I could listen to somebody just yammer on for hours, really. And I'll have some friends stop and say, I've been talking nonstop. You haven't said anything. And it's not that I don't have anything to contribute. I'm just giving them the floor. So, but I feel everything. I feel everything deeply. I feel, and I think that goes hand in hand with being an empath, that emotionally, the world really touches me on a deep level.
Yeah. I can totally relate to that one as an empath myself. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Paige, tell us a funny or silly or embarrassing story about yourself.
Okay, so I used to be a professional belly dancer, and
Ooh.
I started getting my first jobs dancing in public in Middle Eastern restaurants when I had a baby, and he was 9 months old. I was still nursing him. So my boobs were going up and down, depending on whether or not I had milk. And so I didn't have pads for my belly dance bras, so I would just stuff them with toilet paper. And I was dancing somewhere once, and this guy reached in to put a tip into my bra, and then he pulled out the toilet paper, and I spun away at that same moment, and this line of toilet paper went out about 5 feet, and he was just astonished. And then he looked at me and he went, "You know, the sad face." And I ripped it off, and I looked, "You've got a tissue now. Thank you." And I just kept dancing. And just, turned it into part of the show. But yeah, that was probably the most embarrassing thing ever.
Oh my God. How cool. And what a cool, quick little comeback. Like, did you have tissue, right? Like, yeah, doesn't everyone keep some tissue in their bra, right? Oh, that's great.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's definitely, that's a great story. Probably a great conversation starter too, if, or mood lightener, not conversation starter necessarily. So thank you for sharing that. So Paige, what's your superpower? What
I
do you
would say my
consider?
superpower is I accept people unconditionally.
Mm.
Wherever you're at, I see you and I accept you to be wherever you're at. It's okay to be who you are. It's okay for you to be in the mood that you're in, or to have the experiences that you're experiencing. And honestly, I never thought of that as a superpower, but I've had a few friends point it out to me and say it's the one thing they like about me the best is they know that they can say whatever wild stuff they want to say. And I'll sit there and have a conversation with them about it or entertain it, but I'm not going to judge them on it. I'm not going to make them feel wrong about themselves for whatever it is they want to share.
What a gift. I mean, we all need that, right? It's part of being seen and heard.
Mm-hmm.
That I guess is one of our biggest needs as humans, that need to be seen and heard and, I don't know, understood and appreciated, right? If you want to keep going down that line. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
being that in the world.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
So Paige, tell us about a time you took a chance for love.
Okay, so that one, because you sent me these questions beforehand, and that one I struggled with the most because I don't think I've ever been in love. I have been married before. I was married for 12 years and we did divorce. And I struggled with dating after that. So I didn't know, is this a romantic question or is it just about love in general? And I guess what I would share with that, what I chose to do is I chose to look at humanity, like everybody in the world, as my soulmate, because I thought if we're all one, if we all come from source, then really everybody you meet is your soulmate. And what is it like to look at the world like that? What is it like to look at anybody you're encountering, anybody during the day, as your soulmate? And I don't mean that in a romantic way, but as in, I'm the one and you're the one kind of way. And what I discovered by doing that was that people reacted to me really differently. Like I saw an immediate change. They were kinder. They were more aware of me being in their space. They wanted to interact more. It was really, really interesting. And I had some really great conversations with people doing that. I remember once one of my girlfriends invited me to do part of a creative project with her in a park where we were wearing masks and we were just reacting to the environment around us. So I had on this Japanese mask, and I think I was wearing a shawl, and there were ants walking on the ground underneath me. And so I just started following the ants and doing this dance around the ants. And it was an exercise in spontaneity, and she was filming the whole thing for a psychology class she was doing. And there were these two homeless people sitting nearby, and they were watching the whole thing and then having a conversation about it. And it was actually this really deep conversation, and they got into it and they knew what the whole purpose of the piece was, and they're exchanging ideas about psychology they learned over the years. It was the wildest thing ever. And after we finished, we had such an incredible exchange with these people. And I think that was motivated from just seeing, like, I think they say to see everybody as Buddha, like to imagine that Buddha is everyone you meet. But for me, taking a chance on just total strangers and saying, wow, you're my soulmate, and how am I going to react to you that way? It's been a really, really great experience.
Mm.
And it sounds like it's just a continuation of your unconditional acceptance, that perspective that you're choosing to see the world through, which is really, really beautiful.
Thanks.
And love is really like anything that you say it is, right? And I mean, love is the ultimate superpower. And in a way, what you're saying, reminded me of a quote that I heard today. It seems Carl Jung said that it's the surest way to lose your soul is to believe that God is outside of you, outside of yourself, right? And so if we can remember that, right? It's like, I am God, you're God. I'm unique, you're unique. There's no extra pieces, there's no missing pieces. If we can start living that, and that's the challenge, and that's where I want to really commend you for really taking it on, because it's not easy. It's not easy. Somebody cuts you off in traffic and you're like, what? Supposed to be this one, really? Good for you. Good for you for doing that. That is just really big.
Yeah.
Really, really big.
I'd also like to say, though, if you left a marriage that wasn't making you happy, that's also taking a chance on love, self-love, making you happy. So it's another big stand for you, Paige.
Yes, thank you.
Well, it is taking a stand for you, right? Which is an
Right,
act of
self-love.
love. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, and the whole family too, right? Like watching people that aren't happy together is not good for anyone either. So like it has ripples.
Yeah. So Paige, what fills you up? Like, what fills your tank? What do you do to fill yourself up?
Okay. So for me, I think about the divine constantly. It's constant. It's like and I don't know why it's like that for me, but it's like I can't not think about it. So whenever I reach out and just connect with the world, that really fills me up. Like things in nature fill me up, and it could be anything that fills me up, but it's like, where is the divine showing itself today? And I know that sounds like really new agey and all of that, but it's literally something I'm obsessed with. I've always just been into that. And how that started is when I was 16, I used to ride the bus to high school every day. And I used to pray, and I didn't know, and I grew up Catholic, and I didn't know the rosary. So I just kind of made up my own prayers and said them. And I would do this for years. I would get on the bus and I would just start praying in my head. And one day I slipped into a trance and I saw everybody's soul, and all these people on a city bus, it looked like white oval shapes. And I could feel the presence of God moving between each person on the bus. And they're all kind of, because they've got to go to work or school or whatever. But I could feel the divine stop by each person and say, this one right here, this one is my favorite. and then go on to the next person on the bus and say, this one right here is my favorite. And I could feel that. I could feel it. I could feel where that was absolutely true, where each person was exactly the favorite of the divine. And what it reminded me of was a story of Krishna, where somebody challenged him because he had all of these wives. He was married to all these gopis. And they're like, there's no way you could love all these women at the same time. And then he proved it to that person that he could be with each of these women and love them exactly as they wanted to be loved at the same time. And I mean, I would learn that later about Krishna, but it was just feeling this presence. And I remember being awed by that. And I thought, oh, crap, I'm in the presence of the divine. I could ask a question. And so basically, I asked God if there was anything that we did that made him sad. And the other thing I'll share is I discovered also that the divine is beyond gender. Like it has genders in it, but it's beyond it. It's like not like non-binary almost. It was really wild. But I wanted to know if there was anything we did that disappointed God or made God sad, because I'm a repressed Catholic girl. I mean, come on, what about sin? You know? And God said, well, yeah, there is one thing that does make me sad. And I'm like, oh, here we go. What is it? And they said, none of you can see how beautiful you are. And I was just struck by that was the thing out of everything, because I could feel how the divine saw us all as completely perfect. I mean, you could be sitting in your own crap and you're perfect. I mean, you're so loved. It's unbelievable. And I never lost that feeling after I had that vision. And it's something I kind of always go back to. And I felt it since then. Like I've had experiences since then where that has come back and it gets a chance to reroot in me and stuff. But that was amazing.
I have chills. It's just such a beautiful takeaway for everyone listening, I hope. Yeah, if we can all stay present to that, right? The divinity in each person we interact with, then I think we interact with people very differently. Yeah. It's why I tattooed Om Namah Shivaya on my left wrist. As a massage therapist, I have there to remind me that each person I interact with, to interact with their divine, not the human crap they're coming in with, right? Like,
oh, wow. Is that on your left wrist?
It's on my left wrist. So as I touch people, it reminds me to.
It's on my left one.
Twinsies.
Yeah, but it's, you know, also what you're saying is like getting that you're loved, right? It's one of the most challenging things for us humans to, you know, because we grow up. I mean, like I know I've been guilty of that as a parent, right? It's like shaming is the easiest way sometimes to, you know, because that's what we learned, right? There's really, let me see. It's like, it's normal. So I don't want to make it wrong that we do that. And it's, you know, what would a world look like when every child would know how beautiful and exquisite and special they are, right? Like, what would our life have looked like if we wouldn't have known that? Or today, what would our life look like if we would really know that? Like, really know that, right? How loved and special and beautiful we are, right?
It was a perfect moment of unconditional love. So one of the things I like to do is I like to binge watch near-death experiences, because I like to hear people talk about encountering the light in their guides and what those conversations are. And they all say the same thing. I felt this incredible love that's really, you can't describe it. And that's what it felt like. It was perfect, unconditional love. And it's hard to wrap our brains around that. And when I've shared that experience since then with other spiritual people, they're like, oh, well, God was just saying that about your insides, you know, what your inside is like. And I'm like, no, what the feeling I got when that was said was, it doesn't matter what your life is looking like right now. You could be laying in the gutter for all anyone thinks, or wherever in your life. And the divine wants you to see your beauty. You're so beautiful in that moment, no matter what is happening in your life. You could be ugly crying or whatever. But you're perfect exactly as you are. And that is unconditional love, because there are no conditions around it. It's not saying I will love you if, you know, if you're slim and slender. I will love you if you're making it in life and you've got a house or whatever. I mean, it's this unconditional love in its purest form.
Mm. It reminds me of, you know, when one of my daughters, when she was little, what I would tell her is, there's nothing you can do to make me not love you. I might not like you. And well, you know, as a parent, I would tell you, I might not like you right now, but there's really nothing you can do to make me not love you. But then God doesn't have that extra added sentence, right? It's just like, nothing you can do to make me not love you. But we don't live like that. Unfortunately, we have not learned it. We, you know, we live in a world of good, bad, right, wrong. And again, going back to why we're doing this podcast, it's just really like that judgment. It's so immediate and it's so innate. And it's, in a way, it's also part of our DNA. It's our survival, right? It's like we have to be able to categorize the people, right? Because we want to survive, right? So yeah, that's beautiful. There's nothing we can do to make him, her, it not love us. Nothing, ever.
So Paige, if you had a magic wand and can give people any quality, what would it be and why?
It would be vision. Like, and what I mean by vision is when you have a vision of something. So for example, there was this one place that turned my art into an animated movie, and they showed it on the ceiling of a planetarium. And just the technology of it was amazing to me, how they were doing that with people's art. And the next person that came into this place dropped that program because, in my opinion, they couldn't see the benefit of it or what it could be. And I think if you can give people the gift of vision, if they can vision it, that's the beginning, because you have to start with an idea. I mean, everything that exists in the world started with a vision of some kind. And some people just don't even know that's possible, that they could have a different vision of something or an idea of something that could create so many new opportunities in their lives. So for me, it would be that. It was to be able to experience vision or have a vision of something.
Very cool.
That comes with, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, it comes with openness and curiosity.
Yes.
Imagination and all of that.
Yeah, all those are wrapped up in that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. So, Paige, what made you who you are today? Like, maybe what took most courage?
Okay, I would say what I think the trick is with life, or the thing with life, is I think when you see a little kid when they're born, they're being authentically themselves. They don't know that they should not cry in public, or, you know what I mean? Those things, those should things, should. Don't should yourself, but those things we learn to be culturally acceptable, I guess. And I don't know why that is with me, because I wasn't in an environment where that was encouraged. But I've never lost touch with what that original vision is for myself. Like when I was a kid, there are things that I wanted to create in life, and I did all of those things. And I think there's a certain resiliency with it. Like I was really resilient. No matter what was going on in my life, I had this resiliency, but it was linked with my ability to see the world through innocent eyes. And I've never let that go. And so now I'm more aware of it. I'm more aware of it as I'm older. That maybe that's what that is, but it's just that sense of wonder, I guess. I mean, that to me, and just to continue to hold on to that, no matter what others have said, because the older I get, the more people may make comments about it. Like I say wow a lot. And so I've got friends that will judge me for that and will say, you're always saying wow. You're the wow girl. And then I just look at them and say, wow, I guess that's true. And I don't even think that I said it again, but you know, I hung on to those things that I've done when I was little, and there's a magic with childhood. And it reminds me of the thing in the Bible that says, you must be likened to a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. And I think that's just that ability to see the world innocently. And other cultures have said the same thing. I mean, one of my native friends said that her people have a saying that children have fought wars and won, which I think is really kind of an interesting comment, isn't it, about stuff. But she said they believe, you know, with their shamans and stuff, that if you can see the world more from a youthful perspective, that it can bring you victory with different situations in life. Like kids tend to be more resilient with illnesses, and they just seem to kind of have more of a bounce back. And it's interesting to me because I look at that and I go, so where do we lose that exactly in life? Where do we start to kind of harden up a little bit? So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful answer. So Paige,
Hold on a second,
yep.
Christine. Let me just say something about that. I was just thinking about, you know, it is, we live in this world where we think everybody needs to fit in, right? There's a right way of doing things. There's a right way of, you know, and I'm like, you could have just answered when they said that, it's like, wow, thank you. I so appreciate that, right? We have not been, this is something I've been pondering on. We've not been made to fit in. We've all been made to stand out. And I'm not talking about leading the line or whatever, but in our own way, whether it's quiet or loud, stand out, be different, right? Rather than fit in and try and be all the same. And it's such a big challenge, right? To be like, yeah, this is me. This is me. This is how I deal with life. This is how I make life. This is, you know, nothing other. And what you're talking about, that kind of childlike wonder, you know, there's also when you were talking about, you know, the youth, is like there's a flexibility in the mind as well. We're not that set in our ways. So there's many more opportunities and possibilities inside of that, which is really beautiful and powerful.
Thanks.
All right. So Paige, what do you want people to remember about you?
That I was curious, and that hopefully I brought a little bit of light to the world. I mean, that's the goal, really, you know, is to improve things a little bit, that you're here in some way to make life better for other people. So I guess just to, it's probably my light, you know, that I brought light in.
And you do. Definitely do. So what are you most proud of? Like, what do you consider your biggest accomplishment?
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. There was this guy that I met when I was going to ASU. And how I met him is I was in a psychology class, and we were given the assignment of just doing something weird to attract public attention that was out of the box so we could record how other people reacted. So I started belly dancing around the fountain that was in the main plaza, and there was this dude there watching me, and he was from India. And then after I got down, we just struck up a conversation. It turned out that he was a poet, And he was telling me about the plays that he had written, and he was a brilliant, brilliant writer. But then he finished up the conversation with this thing that just came out of nowhere. And I thought, wow, I didn't expect the conversation to go there, but it did. And what he said was that after he graduated, he was pursuing an engineering degree. After he graduated, he was going to join this organization because he was upset about what was happening with the Israelis and the Palestinians. And he was going to become a suicide bomber. And that was his goal. He was going to go and get on the most crowded bus he could get on, and he was going to blow himself up. And he already had all his connections, everything was set. And I thought, wait, what? You're finishing school and you're going to graduate and then you're going to go do this? And this was in the early 80s. Okay. So you have to consider the time frame of the country at that point. Like now, if somebody said they wanted to do something like that, you know, we'd get police involved and all of that. And back then nobody cared because it's not happening here. And I hate to say that, but that was it. And so I thought, okay, I want to talk to this guy some more. So we agreed to meet to talk about his creative work and his plays. And it was over 6 weeks. But I just kept talking to him about this thing he was going to do. And eventually I said something to him that was able to kind of turn the lights on in his head. And years later, I wondered what happened to him, you know, if he wound up doing what he said he was going to do. And I looked him up online and I found him, but he didn't wind up doing it. And so I wound up writing about that as a secret that got submitted to Post Secret. And my secret was that 25 years ago, I talked somebody out of being a suicide bomber for a terrorist organization.
Wow. How powerful. And you chose, right? You chose. You could have just have been shocked and walked away, but you chose to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. But it was just listening to him and accepting the space he was in. And that's hard. That's really hard. So I'm not coming from a place of judgment sitting with him, but I'm listening to what he has to say and just going into the deep listening part. But it took a long time, really long time. So, and ultimately he chose, you know, he's the one that made the choice. So
yeah, but still, like you provided the space, right?
Mhm.
That's what I'm
the love. Just
yeah.
you,
And
you
the
loved
no
him.
no judgment, right? It's because miracles are possible in that space of no judgment, right?
Mhm.
And yes, he made whichever choices you made, but you made the choice to just be there and listen.
Mhm.
How beautiful.
Mhm.
Wow. Woo.
Really, really powerful stuff.
Yeah.
If you could do anything, if there were no restrictions and no limitations, no time and money, what would that be?
Mhm. I would take a bunch of people and go tour the solar system and look at the planets and the moons and see the stars and then come back and bring all of that good stuff with us.
Interplanet Janet.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It just speaks to the whimsy of your paintings and yeah, I get that image as soon as you said it. It's so cool.
So, Paige, you have a business. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about it? Like, what do you do? Like, how can people find you?
Okay, so mostly what I do are soul portraits. And what those are their chalk pastel drawings of what your soul wants you to know most right now. I'll channel information about 3 different past lives, and there will be messages from spirit guides and usually some stone recommendations. So I do those quite a bit. And then I am into my healing work where I'm working with people to heal things in their bodies and just kind of tapping into the energies that are in the universe to bring that in. So that's another thing I do. My website is artofpaige.com. So you can find information on there. Usually I have people contact me directly if they're interested in any of those things so that we can feel each other's energy and they can see if it resonates with them or not. So I don't have like a cart where you could just purchase these things and then get on that way. So it usually starts with just contacting me through email, which I provide on my website. I do a lot of shows doing those things.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing you with us. You know, your essence, your beauty, your love, your power. You know, it's really exciting. It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you to you, the listeners. And if you love this, just please leave us a review and or share. You know, we're always open to that. And please always remember that you are extraordinary. You rock. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Christina, you want to say goodbye?
Bye for now.